It was Martin, Malcolm, Huey, Alvin, Marcus, Richard, Jesse, Adam, Carlin, Gordon, James, Philip, Nat. Showed them not to play with us. Duke, Langston, Thurgood, Robert, Hank, Jesse, Jackie, Muhammad, Paul, Stokely, Mega, Webb. About 3 Benjamins, a good 2 Freds. Women like Harriet, Rosa, Ida, Shirley, Sojourner, Madam, Maya, Mary, Bessa, Ella, and Retta. Even baby Ruby was out here applying pressure. Gail, John, Booker, Sid, George, you nuts if you don't know who he is. Bayard, Charles, Roy, Carter, Cecil, just for drinking them white folks' water. All kings and queens, yes, for real. Until the ones that we lost, like Emmett Till, and all those is here, we gon' continue to hold it down. Say it loud, black, and I'm proud.
Why did one tiny black-owned utility company make white officials so nervous? Follow Black South, because this right here is the history they hoped you'd never learn. In the 1940s, the town of Moton, Alabama was different. It wasn't just black-led, it had its own black-owned electric power company. Founded by local black residents who were tired of being denied basic services, the Moton Electric Cooperative didn't just power homes, it symbolized independence. White-owned companies refused to hook up black households or charge them outrageous rates. So Moton said, fine, we'll build our own. They strung the wires, flipped the switches, and took full control of their grid. And the backlash came quick. County officials tried to deny them permits. State regulators threw roadblocks. Newspapers called them a threat. Why? Because power, literal and symbolic, wasn't supposed to be in black hands. But the people of Moton kept the lights on. They ran that system into the 1960s, long after most black towns had been gutted or absorbed. Today, Moton is nearly gone, but its story proves what happens when black communities build without permission. They created light in the middle of darkness. Follow Black South because they tried to erase it, but we're still here. Why did one tiny black-owned utility company make white officials so nervous? Follow Black South, because this right here is the history they hoped you'd never learn. In the 1940s, the town of Moton, Alabama was different. It wasn't just black-led, it had its own black-owned electric power company. Founded by local black residents who were tired of being denied basic services, the Moton Electric Cooperative didn't just power homes, it symbolized independence. White-owned companies refused to hook up black households or charge them outrageous rates. So Moton said, fine, we'll build our own. They strung the wires, flipped the switches, and took full control of their grid. And the backlash came quick. County officials tried to deny them permits. State regulators threw roadblocks. Newspapers called them a threat. Why? Because power, literal and symbolic, wasn't supposed to be in black hands. But the people of Moton kept the lights on. They ran that system into the 1960s, long after most black towns had been gutted or absorbed. Today, Moton is nearly gone, but its story proves what happens when black communities build without permission. They created light in the middle of darkness. Follow Black South because they tried to erase it, but we're still here.
Did you know the real king of rock and roll wore eyeliner and played piano like it was on fire? Before Elvis, there was Little Richard, a black man from Macon, Georgia, who screamed, glittered, and shook the world with a sound nobody had heard before. His hits like Tutti Frutti, Long Tall Sally, and Good Golly Miss Molly weren't just chart toppers. They were blueprints. Elvis copied him. The Beatles studied him. Prince, James Brown, and Michael Jackson all called him their inspiration. He wasn't just a pop star. He invented the stage they're still performing on. But because he was black, flamboyant, and unapologetically loud, America gave his crown to someone safer, Elvis. They took the soul, the voice, the fire, and handed it to white skin. Even Elvis admitted it, saying Little Richard was the true king. But you won't find that in most music history books. If you believe the real king never got his throne, drop guitars in the comments. Follow Roots Uncovered and share this if you're tired of seeing black greatness erased from its own legacy. Did you know the Black Panthers weren't just about self-defense, but actually fed more children than the U.S. government? But here's the part they never wanted you to know. Stick around, because what happened next will leave you speechless. In 1966, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale created the Black Panther Party, not just to protect their people, but to empower them. They patrolled their own neighborhoods, making sure police brutality didn't go unchecked. They fed over 20,000 children every day through their free breakfast program. They provided free health care, legal aid, and even drug rehab centers for the community. At one point, the FBI even admitted their biggest fear was how much the Black Panthers were helping people. Imagine a time when black communities didn't have to rely on the system because they built their own. The Panthers ran their own schools, where kids learned black history and self-sufficiency. Their story proves something powerful. When black communities controlled their own resources, they thrived. If you're still watching, comment Panther Power and follow for more hidden stories they never wanted you to know.
You've heard of the Wright brothers, but why haven't you heard of the black man who built his own airline? Meet Warren H. Wheeler, the son of a prominent black banker, born in 1924 in Durham, North Carolina. By 19, he was already flying planes. During World War II, he trained with the Tuskegee Airmen, then went on to earn a law degree, but his true calling was the sky. In the 1950s, he became one of the first black pilots hired at Piedmont Airlines, smashing racial barriers. But Wheeler wasn't content just flying planes. He wanted to own them. In 1969, he launched Wheeler Flying Service, and later turned it into Wheeler Airlines, the first black-owned commercial airline certified by the FAA. His airline served thousands across the East Coast and trained hundreds of black pilots, opening doors that had always been locked. So let me ask you, why don't we learn about Warren H. Wheeler in school? Why do names like Boeing and Lindbergh get statues, while black pioneers like Wheeler get silence? If this blew your mind, drop airplanes in the comments, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and follow Roots Uncovered, because we're here to rewrite the flight path of history.
Before Ring, before ADT, before any of it, there was a black woman named Marie Van Britten Brown. In 1966, while America was calling us dangerous, she was inventing how to keep us safe. Living in Queens, New York, Marie was tired of waiting hours for the police to show up in black neighborhoods. So she took matters into her own hands, literally. She and her husband built the first ever home security system, peepholes, cameras, monitors, and a panic button that could contact authorities. Sound familiar? That's because today's modern systems all trace back to her blueprint. But how many tech companies give her credit? How many schools teach that the reason your smart doorbell exists is a black nurse who was tired of feeling unsafe in her own home? Marie didn't just protect her family, she changed the game. And like most black inventors, her name was nearly erased. But not today. If this is your first time hearing her name, drop a black excellence in the comments. Follow Roots Uncovered so they never bury our brilliance again.
Why isn't Tunis Campbell in every American history book? Is it because he proved black people didn't just survive without white control, they thrived? Campbell was born free in 1812, but he wasn't satisfied with freedom on paper. After the Civil War, he bought land in Georgia and built a black-led society from scratch, complete with schools, courts, land ownership, self-defense forces, and zero white oversight. He banned white officials from interfering, appointed black judges, organized militias. And when the system couldn't beat him legally, they poisoned him, threw him in prison, and tried to erase him. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Campbell didn't beg for equality. He built independence. He didn't just challenge white power, he replaced it. So ask yourself, why was his name buried while others got monuments? If this is the first time you're hearing about Tunis Campbell, drop Fierce Leader in the comments. Follow Roots Uncovered and share this if you're ready to reclaim the black leaders they feared the most.
They called them midwives to downplay the truth. But black women were America's first doctors. Long before hospitals let us in, black women were delivering babies, curing disease, setting bones, and saving lives, with nothing but herbs, instinct, and centuries of African knowledge passed down. During slavery, these women were called granny midwives. But don't get it twisted. That title was used to strip them of the credit they deserved. They weren't assistants. They were the doctors. While white men were still experimenting on us without anesthesia, black women were healing their own communities. After slavery, women like Rebecca Lee Crumpler, the first black woman to earn an MD, and Matilda Evans, the first in South Carolina, built clinics and hospitals from scratch. But even then, society tried to erase their titles, called them nurses, midwives, helpers. Why? Because they didn't want the world to know. Black women built the foundation of American medicine. And even today, when a black woman walks into a hospital with credentials, she still gets questioned, still gets dismissed, still gets called by the wrong title. But the truth, we were never just midwives. We were surgeons, physicians, healers, and we still are. Drop comments, follow Roots Uncovered, because the erasure stops here.
What if I told you one black town made so much money in the 1800s that even white folks tried to move in? This wasn't up north. This was deep in the Mississippi Delta. It was called Myrtle Hall, a rural farming community founded by black landowners right after emancipation. No handouts, no charity, just determination. After the Civil War, freedmen in Bolivar County started buying the land they used to work on. They didn't just settle, they built. By the 1870s, Myrtle Hall had its own farms, churches, a general store, and even a school taught by local black educators. One of them was Anna Jones, a freed woman turned teacher who believed that literacy was liberation. Her students didn't just learn to read, they learned to lead. But here's the part they don't tell you. Myrtle Hall didn't just vanish, it was dismantled, piece by piece, through voter suppression, land theft, and the quiet starvation of rural black power. Yet even today, the land is still in black hands. Descendants still farm it, still live there, still remember. This wasn't a tragedy, it was a triumph. Myrtle Hall proved what could happen when we owned the land, the labor, and the future. Follow for more black Southern stories they tried to bury.
This is why you need to know about the forgotten pioneers of hockey, the unsung heroes who paved the way for the sport we love today. At the turn of the 20th century, a group of black Canadian intellectuals and church leaders dared to challenge the status quo, breaking barriers and defying expectations. They founded the Coloured Hockey League of the Maritimes in 1895 and revolutionized the game with their innovative ideas and relentless spirit. From the first slap shot to the modern goaltending style, their innovations reshaped hockey forever, leaving an indelible mark on the sport. But their story was nearly erased by white business interests who sought to undermine their achievements and contributions. These pioneers not only proved black excellence on the ice, showcasing their incredible talent and skill, but also fought tirelessly for equality. Their league thrived on speed, strategy, and fierce competition, setting new standards for the game. Until politics and prejudice shut them down, silencing their voices and halting their progress. Yet their legacy lives on, inspiring future generations of hockey players and fans alike. The Coloured Hockey League of the Maritimes, a beacon of hope and change. Remember their names and their contributions and honour their memory. The true pioneers of modern hockey, whose impact is still felt today.
You've heard of the Hamptons, but not the black version. It was called Idlewild, and during segregation, it was our escape. Idlewild, Michigan, founded in 1912, one of the only places in America where black families could own lakefront property, throw parties, and vacation without fear. This wasn't survival, this was joy. Idlewild had over 300 black-owned businesses, lakeside lodges, and legendary clubs. The Paradise Club, the Flamingo Room, the Idlewild Clubhouse, and the performers, Duke Ellington, Aretha Franklin, Sammy Davis Jr. They weren't side acts, they were the stars. But here's what they don't tell you. Idlewild wasn't just about parties, it was about peace, ownership, dignity. a place where black families vacationed in luxury without being policed, watched, or excluded. But as the world slowly opened up, Idlewild faded. Not because it failed, but because the very success of integration left it behind. The businesses closed, the tourists stopped coming, and the Black Eden faded from memory. But Idlewild? It's still here, still owned in part by black families, still standing as proof that we didn't just survive Jim Crow. We created joy in the middle of it. Why didn't they teach us this? Drop a comment if you're glad you found out, and follow Black South because we didn't just resist, we built our own.
They didn't bury Maggie Lena Walker because she was forgotten. They buried her because she proved a black woman could outbank Wall Street. Born in 1864 to a formerly enslaved mother, Maggie didn't wait for permission. She built her own damn bank. In 1903, when black families were locked out of white-owned banks, she founded the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank, becoming the first woman in the U.S. to own a bank. And she wasn't white. She gave black communities the power to save, buy homes, and invest without bowing to the system. But she didn't stop at banking. She ran newspapers, opened department stores, and hired black women when no one else would. Through the Independent Order of St. Luke, she taught thousands how to build wealth and protect it. Her story was buried because it destroys the lie that we've always needed their institutions to survive. Maggie didn't just challenge Wall Street, she built a rival. Comment Maggie built banks if you believe her name belongs in every history book.
Just say anything. Like, share, and subscribe.
You're not just saying that?
I never just say anything.